Shalom, 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 yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Shamwa Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called, But Ye Have Despised the Poor. But ye have despised the poor. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Kohol Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well to the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. Like I said, today's lesson, but ye despise the poor. All right, and this is a video. It's from Dabu 7, and it was a clip from, let me see, Salakia, from Fox News. All right, from Fox News. Right, and you have the individual on the left and the individual on the right who really are doing most of the speaking, and the Jake on the left is, talking about putting people in prison for being homeless, for being poor. All right, and the one on the right says, no, hey, just delete them. All right, we're gonna play this. All right, so fair use, fair use, fair use.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way
So the Jake says, either you take the help or you go, you get locked up. All right. Now the Edomite is about to respond. All right, let's play it real quick.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill him. Something.
He said involuntary lethal injection or just delete him. All right, that's what he just said. All right, let's play it back. All right, I think he's gonna play it back again. So fair use, fair use, fair use.
Just kill him.
I cannot believe.
Or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now. Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill him. Something.
He said, or something, just delete him. All right, and this is how much, all right, the rich despise the poor. All right, let's get I just want to do, like I said, a quick lesson. Just do a couple of quick precepts. All right. Let's see. Let's start here. All right, let's go to the book of James. All right. Right, but hey, they're like oil and water. All right, they don't mix. All right, the rich and the poor. All right, and you have the parable, of Lazarus, which represents the Israelites, right, and the rich man, all right, Esau, Edom, okay, and you see, all right, that the rich man, despises the poor man, all right, and looks at him with disgust, all right. Let's see. James chapter 2 and verse number 5. It says, Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not the Most High chosen the poor of this world? Right? And we are the poor of this world. All right? The scriptures, we are poor. All right? But we are rich. All right? So it says, Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not the Most High chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which he have promised to them that love him. Right? And when you read the in the parable that Yahawashi was speaking about, the rich man and Lazarus, he told the rich man, you had your riches, you had your fun. All right. You could care less about Lazarus, right? And it just shows. All right, you enjoyed, you ate well, you lived well, you had no worries. All right, you weren't caring about Lazarus or the poor man. All right, and that's truly how they truly feel. All right. It says, and heirs of the kingdom which he had promised to them that love him. It says, but ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before judgment seats? All right. And the rich have despised the poor. All right. They you look at I always go back to that movie, Trading Places, man. All right. They looked at, even when Eddie Murphy, right, was poor, they looked at him and, they thought of him as nothing. Even when Dan Aykroyd, right, his people who were rich with him, right, when they saw that he was poor, they was looking at him like, ugh, you know what I mean? You look filthy. All right. Let's go to James 5. All right. The misuse of riches. All right. It says, James chapter 5, verse 1, it says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl, for your misery shall come upon you. It says, your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. It says, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. All right. And that's what Esau has done. All right. He has, robbed, right, deleted, everything. All right. To try to take over everything. All right. He's done everything abominable. All right. To gain riches. All right. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, right, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi of Sabbath. All right, you give people pennies on the dollar. All right, and then what do? You tax them for everything. All right, and then put more money back in your pocket. All right, you work overtime, you do this, and you still, right, don't make enough money. All right, it just seems like it's never enough. All right, and right now what they're doing, okay, when you think about these things that they're doing, they're putting a greater gap. All right, between, it's just going to be the rich and the poor. It's not going to be any in between. All right, and you have a lot of these make Babylon great folks, realizing that, hey, they're not in the agenda. All right, because where are they? They're in the middle, and there's not going to be a middle. Right, it's gonna be a rich or a poor. All right. What was I looking for? Isaiah. Isaiah 10 and verse number 1, right? So when you're talking about, if the homeless people don't take, the help and the resources, then you should be cast into jail, right? Or deleted, right? That's the whole mindset, all right? This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. It says, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. All right. And the elder apostles, have gone into, Esau, turning into these draconian laws. All right. Which are, brutal. All right. Without mercy. Okay. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and write grievousness, which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment. It says, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, that they may rob the fatherless. All right. And, was just talking about one of the brothers. I was watching one of the camps, and the brothers was talking about, how they're increasing, electricity and these other, utilities things. And then, so what happens? Now you can't afford to pay bills. All right. You're behind and now you're homeless. And now what is their solution? Right. Is to what? To put you into prison or to delete you. Right. You are no use to them. All right. That's how they feel. All right. So it says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people. It says that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. Okay. And who are the poor? The poor are the Israelites, man. All right. Here we are in captivity, eating crumbs. All right. And you got the other nations, right? Like the parable, right? Licking the sores. All right. Opening up, these little corner stores. All right. Selling you bread for $6. All right. Old fruit. All right. Eggs, $7. Right. Or they won't even sell them no more because, just whatever. All right. These are the things that they're doing, taking advantage of us. All right. Taking advantage of the needy, of the poor. Okay. This is the NLT, Isaiah 10:1. It says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. They deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. All right. That's what they're doing. All right. They're getting rid of your snaps. They're getting rid of all the benefits and different things. Everything is hiking up. All right. And then what do they want to do at the point? You don't have a place to stay. You don't have a place. Okay. Well, guess what? Go to prison. Or you know what? Matter of fact, let's just delete you. Right. That's the mindset. All right. And let's read the book of Sirach. All right. Or Ecclesiasticus. And we're going to read Ecclesiasticus. Let's go to 13 and verse number we'll start at verse 16. It says, all flesh consorteth according to kind. It says, and a man will cleave to his like. All right. And it's the same as, we see. All right. You have, Jake will cling to Jake, Moab to Moab. All right. The rich folks to the rich folks and the poor to the poor. It says, all flesh consorteth according to kind. A man will cleave to his like. It says, what fellowship have the wolf with the lamb? It says, so the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there between a hyena and a dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? Okay. What peace is there between the rich and the poor? And this just shows you. All right. What are they? They're like, nope, just go ahead and delete them. Be done away with them. All right. It says, as the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. Okay. You don't even need that. I'll take that. All right. Yeah, I know you. Yeah, you worked 80 hours a week, but yeah, so we're going to tax that. We're going to tax that check even higher. All right. We need more money from that. All right. It says, as the proud hate humility, so doeth the rich abhor the poor. All right. So the rich, abhor the poor. All right. And you can see it, right? And statements like that just solidify, what's going on. All right. And you see it, and he said it without hesitation and without just go ahead and delete them. All right. Just go ahead and delete them. Why are we sending them to prison? All right. And then what? Then we'll have to use money to keep them alive. No, this is what, the agenda of the New World Order is. All right. And then it's going to be, if you want to, keep your house or keep this, you're going to have to take Revelation 13:16, man. All right. Like this is all this stuff is you see is leading up, all right, to their agenda. All right. So guess what? You know, they hike up everything, hike up the prices, right? Can't afford anything. Now you're out in the streets. Now they already declared martial law. All right. Gather them up, put them in there. And here's the solution, right? Those who want will give you, you know, this is what we're going to give you, right? You got to take it or leave it, right? And if you leave it, guess what? It's death or prison, okay? It says, as the proud hate humility, so doeth the rich abhor the poor, all right? A rich man beginning to fall is held up of his friends, but a poor man being down is thrust away by his friends, right? But ultimately, the rich and the poor don't get along, and it's a perfect example, and you see it, you know, being played out, you know, right now, all right? And with that statement, right, that's a cold statement, all right? But, you know, we are, you know, under, you know, a wicked people and a wicked oppressor, all right? Who basically is just like, I don't even want to see, you know, and basically in DC, he's just like, I don't even want to see the poor. I don't want to see homeless here, you know, get them far, far away, put them on a bus and put them away somewhere. All right. And you saw what they were doing with people, you know, who were rounded up by ICE. All right. They found people just floating in the ocean. They was dumping them out of the planes and stuff, man. All right. But this is why, you know, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, all right, the Heavenly Father Yahawah is sending his son Yahawashi, man, to come to redeem his people, man. The poor, all right? They're poor, but they're rich in faith, all right? And those of the elect coming to save them, all right, from this captivity, this hardcore captivity, all right? Where it says, what in Luke, you know, and it says, Salakia. Let me just get that. All right, Luke 1. And I just want to get to the point. Here we go, 71. Right, Luke chapter 1 and verse 71, it says that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. Okay? And what are the rich? They despise the poor. They despise, all right, our people. Okay? Let's go back. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. I'm gonna land my plane. 10 and start at verse number 7. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High and men. It says, and by both doeth one commit iniquity. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Let's read it again, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right. You think about it. You think about how they became rich, man. All right. They became, you know, people became millionaires. All right. From what? From that free work. All right. That they put on the slaves, that free labor. All right. From building the infrastructure of this place. All right. And they got ahead. All right. Because you didn't have to pay the people that you stole, all right, from a land, all right, and now you have that wide gap, all right, and now you know the same people that you put into slavery and you had them build these things, you know, you despise them, and now it's to the point where you just want to get rid of them, you know. But this is how this devil acts, man. This is this devil's tactics. All right. And people got to understand, you should be understanding who your enemy is. Okay. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10, it says, never trust thy enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at last remember my words and are pricked therewith. All right. And that's what they've done. All right. They came in. All right. They had smooth words. All right. To the northern kingdom. They talked real smooth to them and took their land. All right. Well, basically, deleting them. All right. Giving them blankets with smallpox and these different things. All right. When the northern kingdom taught them, how to survive here. But this is who you're dealing with, all right? And this is why you should never trust your enemy, all right? So I just wanted to do this quick lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying, right? With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad. A mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well to the spirit and fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Another mighty shalom to the rest of the elect out there, all right, in the household of faith, all right. Continue and put your trust in Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, all right. In these days, all right, the Lord will, it says, seek ye the kingdom and all things shall be given unto you, all right. So focus on Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi and the kingdom of heaven, right, and think not about day to day, of what you need, the Lord will provide. All right. At the end of the day, all right, he knows who's his. All right. And he's going to feed and make sure that his sheep are fed. All right. And with that, we say a ball, and shalom.